Well, this visit was conducted actually at the end of the last week of November by the Prime Minister advisor. I don't want to name it because there are a couple of advisors. And though he flew from the Islamabad and took a special message from the Prime Minister of Imran Khan for Israel, and he landed in London, and he belonged from the United Kingdom, and he used his British passport, and he took a British Airways towards Tel Aviv.
Right. Now, why, after publicly saying that he would not hold established ties with Israel, why would Imran Khan send an advisor here to actually discuss at least starting that possibility?
Because Pakistan is now in a very critical, politically, economically, and diplomatically critical situation with Arab countries, specifically with Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, UAE. Though the Saudi Arabia and UAE put a lot of pressure on Pakistan to normalize the relations with the state of Israel, but Pakistan was in support of Turkey. So he unfortunately joined the Turkish bloc. This is why the Arab countries were not happy, though they stopped oil, and plus they asked Imran Khan Pakistan to repay back the more than $3 billion, which Imran Khan did it and gotten from China. So, and in recent weeks, UAE banned Pakistani visas. So Pakistan was already is isolated situation. Therefore, there was only the country, because US did not help Pakistan in the cold atmosphere. So Pakistan had only one country that have a good relation with Arab countries, and as well as the country which have always helped Pakistan in the international arena, specifically lobbying in White House or Congress in the US. So therefore Pakistan sent his special aide to meet politicians and the diplomatic in the state of Israel to sort it out, normalize this situation which is Arab and Pakistan have currently facing towards the cold situation. This is why Imran Khan sent it aide. So let's see how it goes. But Israel, instead of Israel, they give a positive response, then they will talk to the Arab countries.
Right. Now, it's a little hard to imagine that Pakistan would make a complete turnaround to establishing fuller relations on the way that we've seen such countries like the UAE and Bahrain and Morocco. I imagine at least it would start as a more sort of undercover relationship, something, for example, like Israel has had with Saudi Arabia.
That's right. That's right. These relations actually is not new relations. Behind the curtain, there was, if you look at a few decades, they are behind the curtain. They would always have establishment and military ties with Israel and Pakistan together. But now this is a situation completely different, because before were the Arab countries were the ruler of the state of Israel. This is why Pakistan have always kept a backdoor policy with Israel whenever they need it. But now the Arab countries have openly accepted Israel. Now they have pressurized Pakistan to leave the Turkish bloc and join the Israel. So this is why Pakistan have a lot of pressure from the Arab countries to normalize relations openly with the state of Israel. So let's see, Imran Khan took a very futuristic step, so let's see how it goes.
Right. Now, you didn't mention Israel, of course, in recent years has established much stronger ties with India. It's also helped India, especially in the area of military security, of arms. Could that also be a factor that Pakistan sees the benefits that India is getting and perhaps also wants to sort of try to balance that a bit?
Indeed, because if you look at the statement of Pervez Musharraf when he was the president of Pakistan, he said that India is taking a step forward to normalize more relations with Israel. So therefore, Pakistan should take a step ahead and make a normalized relation with Israel, and Pakistan will benefit of military and all strategic. So this is why now is the time, because now Saudi Arabia and UAE, they have announced military drills operation with India, not with Pakistan. So they created a lot of pressure on Pakistan to have a talk openly with the state of Israel, because Pakistan now is just in the corner. So this is a reason Pakistan now need a big ally in the region after the Arab, which is the state of Israel.
Just very briefly, Noor, I imagine that there would be some internal opposition if this would be made public in Pakistan.
Yes, there is opposition, but there's a religious bloc. This is why they are not openly, disclose the talks, because of the religious bloc in Pakistan is very strongly opposite of these relations. However, the political parties, which is the Pakistan Muslim League, Nawaz Sharif, and Pakistan People's Party, they are now using Israel card in their protests or in their rallies. Against Imran Khan. But if you look at the history, Nawaz Sharif itself sent 2 delegations to Israel to normalize the relation, and Pakistan ex-Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto, as well, she met an Israeli delegation in Washington, and she wanted normalize the relations, and she sent a delegation to Israel as well.
All right, Noor Dari of the ITCT, thank you.